Hey, this is Brent Leary, and yes, it is the BBC, not that BBC. It's the Brent Broadcasting Channel. And so this is really cool. This is going to be a different kind of program because we're going to be doing like a conversation about an event that took place last week, Zoho Day, which is the analyst kind of day where Zoho brings a bunch of us around to talk about things that are going on, some of the new product announcements, some of the developments, getting some information on how customers are using some of these things. And so that was last week. And now that we're finished, we're able to, kind of digest a few of these things. We want to talk about it. We want to get some perspective from, the executives. We want to get some perspective from some customers. And, Anita Campbell and I have a little bit of perspective too. So Anita, thanks for joining me.
Hey, Brent, thanks for having me. And yeah, it was a fantastic event last week. I'm so glad I went.
Yeah, I am too. And hey, Martin, how you doing out there? Martin's always one of the first few folks to always be a part of these cool things. So it's good to see him there. Yeah, it was definitely a lot of stuff going on, a lot of great information, a lot of great announcements, some of which we can't share because they are kind of still only for Zoho to announce when they want to announce it. They bring the some folks like us analysts in kind of to share, give us a little firsthand view of it, but they're not ready for public consumption. Some of this stuff isn't yet, so we're not going to be able to talk about everything, all the cool stuff. But there was a lot of interesting things, and in particular, there's some things that we think that small businesses should really know about, and we're able to talk about it now. So we'll be getting a lot of that in the next hour or so. One of the things I wish we could spend some time with is the format for Analyst Days or Zoho Day was really cool because there was an evening kind of entertainment part, and which was, I don't think I've ever been to an analyst event that had this kind of thing. But look, they had the Zoho band. I think that the official band RMD. They did a live performance. Zoho has a dance crew. and the dance crew did a performance, and then there was a magician. I mean, so we had some magician stuff going on. We had a kazoo lesson because the Zoho band has the best kazoo artist I know of, because this guy was great, and he was part of the band. And by the way, the band actually won an award for something my buddy Paul Greenberg and I did called the BYOB Awards, and Zoho was one of the winners. So it was really chock full of some cool things. And then to kind of end the evening, they asked me to do some DJing, and I've been DJing like old school hip hop music forever. So I did that. And there was a part during the DJing thing where, I looked. Well, I didn't really see it because I was a little busy. But Anita took a picture, a video of like a bunch of analysts dancing. And as I said to Anita, they were dancing. There were some really interesting moves, not necessarily all on the same beat, but it was interesting. And if you care to check it out, I've put it up on my LinkedIn profile. You can check it out. It's already got over 4,200 views. And Anita was not only shooting the video, she was dancing while shooting the video. So Anita, that was great stuff.
Well, I may make people seasick with the video because it was bouncing all around as I was dancing, but that was so much fun. And I could tell everybody was really getting into it. The highlight, though, was, and I missed it in the video, was one of the analysts did some doggy dancing. She had her little dog in her arms, and they were both dancing. So unfortunately, I didn't catch that.
Well, unfortunately, that'll have to be captured. The next one. I'll make sure the dog is around for the next Zoho Day, and we'll get all that. Okay, so we just want to have a little bit of fun introducing some of the things with the fun things. Let's get into some of the meat. And so with that, let's bring on Zoho's chief evangelist Raju Vegesna and the creator product manager Tejas Gadhia. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brent and Anita. Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Yeah, the only thing that would have made that video better was if I saw you two in there dancing, because I've never seen Raju dance. So I don't know.
That is the reason I wasn't invited, Brent.
All right. So, I mean, we've only got an hour, and I say only got an hour because there was two days of like information and announcements and presentations and a whole bunch of things. And unfortunately, we can't get into all these things. But maybe I'll ask each of you, just from each your perspective, why don't you share why you guys do Zoho Day, and then maybe give us some of the big announcements that you wanted people to walk away with it from.
Sure. One of the key reasons we do the Zoho Day is to basically talk to various analysts out there and give them a preview on what's coming, and just open the curtain a little bit and talk about our strategy or vision, where we are going, what are the things that we are launching, and what the thought process is and what we're thinking, and to share that with the analyst community. That's the primary purpose. So
I know that comment from Sandy kind of caught your attention. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. But that's the primary idea, Brent. I think just to share the thought process with analysts, and maybe dig a little bit into the backdrop, and provide more context to it, why we are doing what we are doing, and that's the primary intention. Of course, there are organizational directional announcements, there are product related announcements, strategy discussions, and whatnot. So all of these are kind of mixed into it. Of course, we don't have with the event compressed into a few hours instead of in a couple of days, we don't have a lot of time to get into all of these, but we try to compress it and share in this new format. And I'm extremely happy with the format that Sandy has come up with. So this is a good new format in the virtual analyst meet.
Yeah, let me just quick shout out too, because I was fortunate to be around in the early days of the Analyst Day forming, and under the tutelage and leadership of Sandy Lowe, it's come
long way
from where it was. Yes, absolutely. All right, Tejas.
So I mean, building off what Raju said, then we also get into the weeds a bit in terms of actual products and some of the platforms that we're building out. So talking about kind of success stories of what people have been able to accomplish using our tools so far, and then also kind of outlining a vision for the upcoming year, and also just beyond 5-10 year strategies in terms of what is it we're hoping to, I guess, empower our customers to do, not necessarily by a feature by feature basis, but more from a solution perspective. And that's really important. Obviously, these analyst guys and girls talk to a bunch of different companies and have a lot of contacts, and their ears close to the ground. So it gives us a good pulse on, I guess, how we're doing and if the messaging resonates and all that kind of stuff.
And it helps if if it comes from customers than coming from us. That's the reason I think we have about 15 different customers bring in various perspectives, from enterprises to small businesses, and all the way in between. And we have various customers of various sizes from various industries talking about their perspective. End of the day, that's what matters.
One of the things that impressed me so much in this event is a virtual event, of course, because of COVID. But it was a very interesting format. And I love Tejas's presentation, because you wove in customer testimonials and stories. And it was just like in a live event where you might have a customer come in for a part of it. I just thought that was really very well done, and it made it very informative, much more informative than just, as much as we like you, Tejas, much more informative than just hearing from you.
Yeah, I mean, we've all sat through a bunch of these online conferences and videos, and sitting in front of the computer for that long is mind-numbing. You start kind of zoning out. So having the customer stories kind of weaved in helped break the monotony of my voice and the content to just make it a little bit more engaging and entertaining. So I think virtual events are tough, and I'm glad we made a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and actually also that the format is the key, where if you have a virtual event and then it feels like you're reading a script, then it is not going to be any different. It is gonna break that thing. So let customers come in live and share their front perspective. If they are not happy about it, well, they better say it. That's a good thing. Having that frank conversation, a truthful conversation, is an important part. That's the reason, just let the floor open where customers talk to analysts and direct interaction with nothing being canned. I think that's an important part of the experience I want to drive.
Yeah, I'll say from a analyst perspective, that's really critical. We want to be able to, get the presentations and hear, directly from you guys as executives, but it's also great to allow some of the discussion that takes place between not only analysts asking questions to the executives, but analysts talking to other analysts, or analysts, even hearing from the customers and being able to ask customer questions. That kind of allows a broader view of what we're seeing to kind of come to us. And so I thought it was very important. And like Anita, I like the videos ahead of time because that allowed us to kind of look at things and then come in to the event ready to ask specific questions so that we could be get right to the heart of certain things. I like the format, but I really would love for maybe Raju, this might be for you, to talk about the use of the Zoho platform to actually do this event, because you guys have, Zoho Meeting, you have Zoho Backstage, you have a lot of different components. And after being on like 1,000,001 Zoom calls where they all look the same and feel the same, this platform that you guys use to do this, it just felt so much more refreshing. It felt more, like I said, it really fostered more of a collaborative effect amongst us. And it was a refreshing change than, oh God, here I am in another Zoom call, which they all feel the same at this point.
Yeah, that's true. I think one of the key decisions, for us, it was kind of a no-brainer in the sense that we knew that we were going to use our platform. Whether it is good or not, that was a decision we made early. And if it's not good, well, we are to improve it. Simple. And if you fall flat on our face, well, we take that as a lesson and make it better. All of it in the long run, these things. That is how Zoho has operated. We pretty much ran our events on our events platform. Initial experience wasn't great, but fast forward a few years, it got better. The same way we decided to run it on our platform. And the good news is we have multiple tools that can be used. And it's about figuring out which tool to use where and how we put this together. And there's a reason we have multiple tools. I'm not going to get into the technical details, but I think the fact that we have all of these tools and figure out a way to bring these tools together for this analyst event, for this format, those are the things we had to figure out, I think, a few weeks before the event. But we were pretty confident that we can run this event on the Zoho platform. And I see it as a 1.0 version of the platform. Because the platform we use, Backstage. Backstage was supposed to be all about, backstage, right? But here we are running an event where it is like the front stage, the center stage of the event. That component didn't exist a year back. During the pandemic, we said we need the center stage part of it to be part of the backstage. So we integrated one of our technologies and products we have, Showtime, into this and to create that seamless experience. And then we were discussing how do we do these huddles when we have 3 parallel tracks. How do we run 3 parallel tracks without deviating from the whole experience? So we ended up using our Zoho meeting technology, embedded 3 different meetings as 3 tracks, so that analysts can switch between these tracks seamlessly. And at the back end, it's meeting, but people don't know that actually they're entering a Zoho meeting in there, and they're entering that meeting by clicking on the link on an agenda in the backstage. So all of this is a seamless knit together. So there are a few things we had to add and fix and whatnot, but for the most part, we had the core part of the technology in place. The key decision really is to run our event on Zoho. As we often say, we run our business on Zoho. And as part of it is dog fooding. If we are not able to provide a good experience, well, we take that as a lesson and improve it. And this is what this is the first step. This is the 1.0. I'm excited about the 2.0 and 3.0 and how this is going to evolve. We have a very strong event platform, and we mix all of these together. So I'm excited about the future, but I'm hoping that this is just the first stepping stone.
I'd like to interject here. Brent alluded earlier to the back channel going on and the interaction between the participants. So this is what I loved about Backstage and the platform that you use there, Raju, is that while people were talking, it was so much easier and more seamless to have like a chat going. There was like a persistent chat window on the side. So if you're on a desktop and you're listening to the event, the analysts could be chatting with one another as they do on breaks during these events when they're live events. So at an in-person event, the analysts get together, they chit-chat a little bit. And, it's a wonderful camaraderie that develops in addition to hearing about the company. And so you had that there. And that to me was unique. It was just so intuitive and easy.
Yeah, and that was part of it. I mean, we wanted to do a lot of others. So we had the chat and others that are in place. But for a 2.0, we're going to see a lot more in the platform. We are going to have a virtual hallway, like a hallway conversation. It is powered by chat plus video and a lot of other things that can be. Or you're sitting together and having lunch, like a simple round table conversation in a virtual environment. How can you do that? So there are ways to do it because we control all the technology. So which means we can provide a much better experience, and that is what hopefully the next Zoho Day will be much better than the current one. But again, I'm hoping that we'll be able to meet physically, which is nothing beats that. But then I think we are getting to a stage where even when we have physical events, there will be a virtual component. Now, then it's going to be about how you mix the physical and the virtual component. So the technology, seamlessly has to help the conversation. That's the key. It should not be a hurdle there. So that's the focus of Backstage. It's come a long way, but it still has a ways to go.
Well, even though it has a ways to go, and I put the question up from Sean about lots of small business people on this call, hoping we'll be chatting about some of the things that they can use. This is actually something they could actually use. I mean, this is not something that costs thousands of dollars a month for a small business to start using. Can you talk a little bit about how you could see small businesses taking advantage of Backstage, taking advantage of meetings, taking advantage of the things that you actually use to pull this off?
Absolutely. One of the core component of Zoho technology is Click. I'm on Click all day, every day. Click is our instant messaging system, audio, video calls. I was looking at my phone call list recently, and I was trying to figure out the last time I made a phone call that is not on Click for work. I can go back a year and now I don't remember anyone's phone number, none of that. All our conversation happen on Click. So whether you call someone in China or India or Germany or Japan, doesn't matter. It's just a Click call. It's no different from a WhatsApp and all other things, but the context of work. So which means if you have a group, 3 or 4 people want to get on a call, just chat and get on a call right there on the mobile. So Click is a critical component. It's not just a chat, it's an audio call and a video call and a video conferencing system. Then if you want to get into a meeting, then there is Zoho Meeting, which of course is integrated with Click to say, hey, let's hop onto a meeting, I want to share my screen. And then if that becomes, then you want to convert into an event, then there is the Backstage, which has that on-air component where you can start hosting an event. So all of these are various pieces of technology for enabling collaboration. End of the day, in this remote work environment, it's about feeling like you're in the same room and removing the borders between people. So how can we seamlessly connect people and erase the distance? And that is where, The weird thing of Analyst Day, or interesting thing about one of the interesting thing about the Analyst Day here is everyone was working from home, and we pulled it off. And we had people from at least 7-8 countries collaborating to pull off this. And everyone is working from their home, from their desk. But they're all in the same room, in this case, either a click room or a meeting room or a backstage room. I think so. When a small business decides to host events, collaborate on certain topics, these tools, like the collaboration tools, play a critical role, because when you communicate, there are multiple levels. It could be a one-on-one conversation, or one-to-many conversation, or many-to-many conversation. These are all various ways. There are tools available, but they're just the tools. Using the right tool for the format is the key. But small businesses may decide to have a conversation with their customer, maybe with their supplier chain, with their employees. So depending on what kind of conversation you want to have, there's a tool for that.
And the bottom line is those tools are available and of value that they don't have to break the bank to use this stuff with you guys.
If they're on, say, Zoho One, and let's say a solopreneur, you're paying $30-35 a month, and you get 50 tools, and these are included. So that's an important bit. Value is the key.
Yeah, just want people to know $30 to $35, and you can actually use the same kind of things that Zoho used to put on an Analyst Day event. That's just want to make sure. Does that answer your question, Sean? I want to make sure Sean's question was answered.
Well, and not only that, not only do you get that, you get all these other things that you are using, a CRM, various marketing types of tools. So you're getting a lot for that amount of money. And that's what I like. You don't have to use them all, the way it's set up. And this is another thing I love about Zoho One. You literally go in and you choose which of the apps you want to use. So it's not like it's one big conglomeration and you're like, oh, overwhelmed with all this. You literally pick, I want to use this, I want to use that. No, I'm going to skip that. Not that, maybe that one later, but not right now. And it works out really well.
I don't want to leave Tejas out anymore because he's sitting there very patiently waiting to talk. Tejas, I really thought your video, the video you did, kind of setting the stage for what's going on with the low code thing was really great. Could you kind of summarize exactly what low code is? Because I want you to kind of put it in in a way that these small SMB folks that are watching can really understand the benefit and the power that low code has and how it's accessible. And it's not specifically for IT geeks. It's for actual business people.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say the low code term has become pretty popular lately. And a low code tool is really anything that enables you to be more productive ultimately and do more than you probably could have done from scratch. So I would say most people are probably familiar with one of the first low code tools, Excel, right? That's kind of like your go-to tool for solving some problem, organizing some data in your organization. And so we'll call Excel like a Swiss Army knife, right? It's kind of like your go-to for a lot of things. And then we have low code platforms, which are kind of like a step up, where it's not necessarily a Swiss Army knife. It's kind of like having an entire Home Depot, if you will. You have all the tools available beyond that enable you to build and do whatever you want. Everything is there for you. And ultimately, the goal is really to be able to build applications and integrations that help foster more productivity and really giving people who traditionally, I would say, aren't developers or super technical, the capability and the powers to solve problems themselves and not have to rely on either antiquated processes because they don't feel technical enough, or on IT teams that may or may not understand the requirements. It lets people basically take control of their own problems and solve them how they see fit.
Cool. So talk about it in the context of how Zoho is allowing folks to use it.
Gotcha. On the Zoho front, we've got this app called Zoho Creator. It's been around this is going to be the 15th year. So it's been quite some time that we've kind of been chugging along at it. and it's a low-code application builder. So majority of the customization you can do is, like Val just mentioned, drag and drop programming. So a lot of it is very visual and declarative, where if I want to make a form, I'm just dragging and dropping pieces. I'm selecting customizations through a bunch of drop-down menus and typing in, what I need. And then the problem that kind of ends up happening is it's great to get, ramped up very quickly using drag and drop tools. But then ultimately, there might be some complex, let's say you're building something to like manage commission or something like that, right? And so there might be some complicated commission calculator that goes through a bunch of different scenarios based on quantities and locations and regions and sales reps and, a bunch of different inputs. So we might need to do a little bit more complicated, business logic calculation that happens. And so we've got a kind of a scripting language in Creator called Deluge, pretty similar to using formulas in Excel, that lets you kind of manipulate the data very easily for non-programmers, and really take a basic application to becoming a really powerful application because you can add that custom logic in.
So basically, like regular people can use this. You don't have to know, bits and bytes and C programming languages to use this. That's kind of hidden. The complexity is hidden, and it allows regular folks to actually build some pretty powerful applications, right?
Exactly right.
In a small business, you think, okay, I'm going to get these 3 apps or 5 apps and say, okay, I have everything I need. And then you'll soon realize that actually I'll need something custom that no one else has. And I need something there. Over a period of time, you'll realize that, damn, there are a lot of custom apps that you need. This little thing. While Zoho uses all 50 apps that we create, there are several thousands of apps that we had to create on Creator to run our own business. In fact, for Analyst Day, ZohoDay, they just created an app. It's for one of those things that is one among multi-thousand apps that we use. And those are, they may not be massive apps. In some cases, some are big. In a lot of cases, there are these small apps to meet a specific need. The app requirement is not so big that you have to go license a massive application and an implementation crew. Just put together something in maybe an hour or so and start using it. So and it could even be a mobile app. So I think people underestimate the number of custom apps they may need for a specific purpose.
Yeah, just to build off of what Raju said real quick, we'll spin up apps for, back, I would say last year or maybe 2019, feels like forever ago. In the office, we'll make small things. Let's say we have a potluck going on, right? Making sure people bring in the right stuff, send them a notification the day before. Maybe I built in a rating system to see if somebody's cornbread was legitimately good or terrible. It can be something as small as that. That's fun. That honestly, a potluck can be kind of annoying to fill out in a sheet, right? But it is a problem solved. Is it a real business need? No, but you have this tool, kind of like a box of Legos. Ultimately, you can do whatever you want with it, take it apart, rebuild it, and solve a lot of problems, whether they're typical business problems that are serious or just fun business problems that could make a quality of life difference for organizing information for your company.
So I'd like to give my example. About 4 years ago, something like that, I was looking for some kind of an app to manage our process for assigning out to writers articles to write. And I tried various different things. Originally started with, basically a spreadsheet, moved up from there, eventually found Creator. And I actually created this app on the evenings and weekends on my own. And I was able to go through it and do it. And we still use this app today because there was nothing out there that would actually work for us. It wasn't custom for our situation. And, I think it's important to realize that this has a lot of sophisticated stuff built in. So we can not only assign something out to a writer, it will trigger emails that go out to the right people to alert them at various stages of, here's an assignment for you. The writer gets that. And then when the writer comes back and says it's completed, and the editor gets an email saying, hey, this is completed, to do this. And, there are a variety of different things that you can do there. to find that kind of an app out there, I looked high and low and nothing fit. So we created something very specific to our production process, and it works. And I know there are many, many stories you probably have, Tejas, out there of small businesses that have done those kinds of things.
For sure.
And before we have another customer come on and talk a little bit about it, so you can create the app on the platform, and then the app runs on the platform. And it's what's the pricing model around that? Is it like a consumption model, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we don't do the consumption model thing, because when you build something by consumption, that means you're basically taxing someone for using the product more. And we don't want that. We want to have one flat price and build as much as you really want, and you can do. So if you're lucky and smart, really, and have Zoho One, it's included and it's completely free. Just one of the 50 apps that we include in there. If you want to buy it standalone, the most you'll pay is $35 a month for the product itself, which in hindsight doesn't make sense to pay $35 for Creator when you can get Zoho One for $35. So Zoho One is definitely the way. But if you want to buy it a la carte, there's a couple different tiers, maxing out at $35. So you can't expect to spend more than that.
And you could create standalone apps like Anita was talking about, but can you also integrate your standalone app, your app, into one of those 50 apps that Zoho has under the Zoho One umbrella?
Yeah, so the integrations is extremely important for a lot of low-code apps. So I know earlier we were talking about Backstage and Meeting and all the tools that we use to run Analyst Day or ZohoDay, sorry. Same thing, I guess. But I guess what you guys don't really see is kind of all the work that happens behind the scenes. Y'all see those front two tools and kind of the last, the actual show itself. But the backstage, if you will, of the event is run through a combination of Creator apps that integrate with Backstage, integrate with Meeting, integrate with our spreadsheet and our word processor and our email marketing in order to sign up and send the instruction emails over time. All those connections are happening as Creator as kind of the source for that data. As that was where people register. We automatically print shipping labels for some of the gifts that we send out. All that happens powered by Creator as kind of, I might be biased, but as the heart and soul of the entire operation. But as kind of the back end piece, it's connected and has its hands in a lot of different things, whether it's Zoho apps or third-party tools like SmartShip or whatever for postage stuff, or a third-party tool for surveys or whatever you want to connect it with.
Cool. All right. I wanted to make sure people understood the flexibility and the power of this platform. And Tejas, I'm going to have to really get you to jump on that cornbread app, maybe update it to include biscuits along with the cornbread. Then we can talk a little bit further, man. All right. So, but for right now, we want to bring in another customer perspective. And Saru, I don't want to butcher your last name. How do you pronounce your last name?
Seda.
See, I would have butchered it. I would have said Sada or something like that. So I'm Saru Seda. And talk about Iron Roots. You guys are a Zoho customer, and you're the CEO and founder.
That's right. We Iron Roots. We're a full-service ad agency based here out of Austin, Texas. We create and deploy and manage things like Facebook ads, social media content, Google ads, things of that sort. Started the company about 7.5, 8 years ago now. I grew up in a family of restaurant owners and was never the chef, so always kind of was gravitated towards the marketing side of things. Graduated college and started the agency out of the university library, servicing clients, small and medium-sized businesses, different restaurants around the area because I had experience in the restaurant space. Learned a lot about how my parents kind of navigated things, so it helped me, build out what was the first and foremost the operations side. Restaurants are very operations heavy. We've grown quite a bit since then, and we've worked with hundreds of different brands, including ones like Netflix, Gillette, Warner Brothers, on a variety of different kind of growth campaigns. And at the beginning of the launch of Iron Roots, we had very limited resources, no engineer on the team to be able to kind of connect different apps and allow us to kind of streamline operations, things of that sort. And so by default, we began using tools like Google Spreadsheets and Excel spreadsheets to manage new customers, projects, checklists, et cetera. And then eventually started to use off-the-shelf tools like Zapier, Zoho Creator, Zoho Flow, things like that. I was always interested in, streamlining operations. I think that was the foundation of a lot of the things that have been, rolled out in the company. And so we started using Zoho early on. Started with Zoho Invoice to automate the billing and receivables, and then, got into CRM and then the whole suite. Starting with one app, you'll go down a rabbit hole and just explore the rest. Each one is really enjoyable and how flexible it is. And so I think the way that it all communicates with one another is really interesting. Once we kind of got, more familiar with the applications and started trying to find ways to systematize more and more, how to manage clients, how to ensure that things don't slip through the cracks, we started, deploying more of our Zoho One kind of suite is what we started with. So working through Zoho Books, Zoho PageSense, a lot of the different marketing tools, many of which I believe are ones that really level the playing field between small businesses and larger companies. And I've always been really fascinated with the operations behind things, and I love triggered functions and starting to having all sorts of different things in place to just, if this happens, then do this. And that was kind of the basis of a lot of kind of what we were building out. And that's kind of how we were introduced to the Zoho suite.
So how long have you been using Zoho? Go back over that again.
I would say we've been using Zoho for perhaps 4 or 5 years now. Perhaps
you
5
started
years.
out with one app, and how many apps are you up to now?
We still haven't really exhausted the whole suite. I mean, we've signed up with Zoho One, and we're using all sorts of different ones, primarily like the project management and the bookkeeping and things like that. But slowly, I'll find tools like Zoho PageSense, incredible platform. It's extremely underrated and not as well known as I believe it should be. It's some of the things in there just provide so much insight onto how people are using your website, and that's just one of many. But yeah, there's so many applications, and I think like each year Zoho allows for fewer and fewer excuses for people to become more productive. The company is incredible, launching new apps and features faster than anyone else. It's hard to keep up.
Anita, I know you want to jump in, but that's a great tagline. Zoho, fewer excuses to be productive. Take that one.
Yeah, that is a great tagline. So so Saru, we've had some dealings together, and I've been impressed by how your firm seems to, I will call it, punch above your weight. And I think having the power of Zoho behind you really helps. So you come across as a much larger firm than I think in reality you are. People wouldn't necessarily know the size of your company, but you're able to contribute so much and to accomplish so much. I mean, would you agree that Zoho is a big part of that?
I appreciate that. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, with Zoho and many other tools that integrate with Zoho products, I think it's just been the system as a whole. I think software to this, in this day and age, again, levels the playing field and allows small teams to do big business. And I think, it allows for something that really only larger companies were able to really hone in on, and it's customer experience. And I think customer experience is what differentiates the larger companies with the small ones. And I think that's an area where we can, really compete with the enterprise. And so I absolutely agree that Zoho playing the largest role of our tech stack has contributed to allowing us to do, big business and in volume.
Can I ask you to talk about why you think PageSense is underrated and how you guys are using it?
Well, PageSense is essentially a web analytics tool, and it also has a couple different testing features. It provides insights that are just short of standing behind your customer while they're using their computer on your website. As creepy as that may sound, everything is definitely anonymous and all that good stuff. Privacy and data is very secure on the platform. But from session recordings to how far someone scrolls down your website to some of the things that just the raw numbers can't really tell you is the data that tools like PageSense allows for, and it gives you the qualitative measures of which are extremely actionable. So someone scrolls down a certain part, whether you have an e-commerce website or you're selling accounting services, and someone scrolls down some section and then you see them bouncing off their website, it gives you insight and information like, okay, perhaps at this point we'll add some type of pop-up on the website that allows us to, convert at a higher rate. And that kind of takes us back. Like, I think it really starts with just reverse engineering what you want your goals to achieve, and then you'll naturally gravitate and search for applications that can solve for things. And so I think a lot of the time the applications and the features within them give you ideas and give you new goals to hit, but kind of beginning with the goals and allowing the software and the solutions to fill in those blanks, I think is where we've been able to plug the holes and find new insights.
So Rue, that was a real great bit of foreshadowing, because when you started talking about customer data and privacy, you are heading right down the path I was going to. That's great, and it set the stage, because all that data, it's your customer and prospects, that information, and being able to leverage that, but make sure you're using it properly and safeguarding it properly is a big deal, and it's getting bigger and bigger, with everything that's going on between Apple and Facebook. And so I'm going right to you, Raju, because I know this has been one of those areas that you're a leader in. I mean, and Zoho has been a leader in. But why don't you talk about kind of the statement that Saru just made around the importance of this, and then talk about what Zoho is doing in order to safeguard, and to actually, I think, even go beyond safeguarding, is kind of the tell the story of why customer data privacy is something that is going to be at the forefront of customer experience, not just data security, but privacy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when a customer visits your website or your store, the assumption is that you as a store owner or a website owner has information about it. Just like a customer would walk in a store, they know where you're going, what you're shopping, and whatnot. What they will not appreciate and they do not expect is broadcast this information to others so that others can sell ads. That is the challenge with all the trackers and whatnot, whatever we're doing. The tools that we provide are at least the way we operate business is simple, straightforward way, where we offer information to the customer, we offer service to the customer, and the customer, based on the activity, we gather that information, because we need that information to serve the customer better. It's a simple, straightforward, handshake between the customer and the vendor. And that's what happens when say, Saru interacts with his customer. And this is a simple, straightforward one. What we do not do is just use that information and ship it to third parties, and then they're doing ads and whatnot, which tends to happen when you have a lot of third-party trackers embedded within your website, which means if you have some kind of a third-party analytics system from a vendor who also do advertising, then you get into the issue of them using this information to sell and follow the customer and sell something else in an aggregated way. When the third parties follow the customer on every single website and use that information to make money directly or indirectly, that's not the right way. And when that happens, it's not an if, when that happens, the customer is going to lose trust on every vendor they are dealing with that is enabling these tracks. And that is where the problem happens. Where imagine in a physical world, you walk into a store, there are 5 cameras pointed at you. And if the customer knows that you are recording and selling that information to third parties that do facial recognition, will the customer trust you? That's happening today in the virtual world. So if you have third party trackers embedded, it is no different from these trackers or cameras that are tracking you and selling that information. So what happens is the trust between the small business owner and the customer will be lost because of this. Just like a customer will not walk into that store because of cameras, the trust is lost between the small business and the customer, and that due to the trackers. So my advice is to just get rid of these trackers, particularly from I call them surveillance companies who use that information for selling ads and whatnot. And that is the key. So end of the day, as with trust, it takes years or decades to build the trust, but you can lose it in hours or days. So the trust a business builds with their customer is extremely important. And unfortunately, with the privacy abuse that is going on in the industry, that is being abused, and we have to raise the bar and stand against that abuse, current abuse going on. Protecting user privacy, it feels weird saying it, is very basic need, and I hate that I even have to say it. Protecting user privacy is such a fundamental thing with trust that itself is being abused.
Saru, looked like you wanted to jump in and say something there.
You still with me, Raju? Did you lose me here?
No,
we hear you.
Go ahead.
Oh, he just wait a minute. Oh, there he is. He's back.
There we go. No, I love that analogy, actually, Raju. And I think that's it's essentially like having cameras in your storefront, in your brick and mortar storefront. I mean, that's a fantastic analogy there. I certainly think there's a responsible way to do it. And I think the data is so important. And it's not important, some specific personally identifiable information as much as it is just the raw anonymous data that can help us draw insights and make changes. I mean, every time some type of new privacy limitation kind of comes out, it's definitely harder, especially for marketing companies. And I'm all for data privacy. I think that the customers and the users should be able to decide how their data is used. I also think it's extremely important that there's some level of information in order to be able to improve the customer experience. Improving the customer experience is really everything. And I think it's going to be tough to entirely escape, say, advertisements. And my theory on it is I'd rather have a relevant ad than an irrelevant ad, as long as my personally identifiable information isn't necessarily out there. But I'd rather have relevant and targeted things than irrelevant ones. But that's a fantastic point you bring, Raju.
Raju, maybe you could. I know you guys are working on some things around privacy, helping your customers with privacy. Without spilling any beans, maybe you could talk a little bit, maybe at a high level, about kind of how you guys are looking to help small businesses with that.
Yeah, certainly. There is this notion of free apps in the market, and I don't totally believe that. So the way I look at it is, the customer is paying one of two ways. They're paying with money or they are paying with data. In either ways, the customer is paying. So the way, if you're paying with data, then that is perceived as free, right? But you're paying in a different method. But in either case, the customer is paying. We need tools to educate the customer that this is how you're paying, because the market has marketed itself saying that these are all free apps, but it's not. There is a price there's a price the customer is paying, and they have to know that is the case. That education hasn't happened, and we want to do our part in educating the customer. And at least if the customer says, "Hey, I'm ready to pay with my data," it's okay if a surveillance company tracks my data and my activity, it's okay, but it is the customer's choice, not the surveillance company's choice. So we are basically saying the power has to be, or the decision has to be made by the individual or the customer, and not someone else whose interests are not always aligned with the customer making the decision on behalf of them. So we are basically, we'll be rolling out a few things that help the customer and protect customer privacy at a high level. But end of the day, our stance is simple. Treat customers' data just like we treat our own data. And as a vendor, that is a stance we take. And as a consumer myself is, there are cases I might be willing to share some data, but it's a choice that I make as a consumer. I should have that visibility instead of that hidden camera that is behind the screen that is tracking me without my own knowledge. I think that is what, and when that happens, we want to bring in visibility to the customer. So we think we can do something about it. So we plan to launch a few things moving forward in the next few months.
And Tejas, does that even helps in terms of low code? Because you guys have the infrastructure to help kind of enforce these kind of ideas, right?
Yeah, I mean, and to even build on what Raju said about the two different kinds of business models, either your data is kind of being there or you're paying for it. Sometimes the worst is when you're both. You could be paying for something and your data could be being stuff. And that's a third one that I guess kind of gets left out sometimes, but it definitely happens pretty often. But on the low code front too, generally, I mean, I think Raju hit the nail on the head where even for apps that you build that people are accessing and using, we still want to improve them using like Saru mentioned, PageSense type of integration to see, how are people using the app? Did I design this app well? How can I make the app more functional? Are there problems that people are facing and they're like clicking the same box 6 times because they don't understand how to use it? So I need to fix something as a designer. That kind of stuff happens, but it doesn't need to be identifiable. Data is important to help you make right decisions, but you should never risk personal privacy in order to get that. Wow.
Pierre brings up some good points, and he mentioned the C word, Clubhouse. We're not even going to go into that right now. But hey, Saru, where can people learn more about what you guys are doing at Iron Roots?
Well, you can always visit our website, ironrootsinc.com. We're always doing new things. We've gone through quite a few changes this year with a lot of new different kind of features. We're rolling out new applications, and kind of back to what got us into the whole rolling out new apps and whatnot is effectively beginning in the Zoho Creator kind of suite there. But to learn more about what we're doing, you find us on ironrootsinc.com, and we're also rolling out a platform called delimiters.io. It's in a private beta right now. Super exciting. It's effectively taking what you would normally find hidden within the depths of different forums and community user-generated content platforms and bringing all the good stuff out, the meat, and making it easily accessible. And so Delimiters is effectively a leaderboard and a website that allows for user-generated content of workflows, ready to use off-the-shelf templates and workflows like Zapier integrations, soon to roll out different Zoho Creator templates and Zoho Flow templates. So the ability to just kind of log right in, see what is accessible. An example would be, a spreadsheet that's already designed with a script built in that alerts you if, for example, a product is available on Amazon, for example. And this was derived from, again, kind of the fascination with the if this then that kind of landscape. I think if this then that has really opened my eyes to the ability to build things that you would otherwise need an engineer for. And I became really fascinated with kind of triggered functions and started having a little fun after some time using Zoho Flow, Zoho Creator, and Zapier. Down to even automating an "I love you" text message to my fiance every Monday. That was
wow. So we've hit LA love automation. Is that what we're getting into?
Well, it was just kind of a fun experiment, but I eventually got caught because the responses, the automated text messages were redundant, and they were coming in with these templated responses. Even when she would ask me a question, I would respond. The system would respond to "I love you," and it's like that's not an answer, and I got caught. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I think Zoho Creator and Zoho Flow, as well as Zapier and other different workflow tools, has allowed us to really take things to the next level. We've been able to prototype new applications that save us a ton of money. We've been able to build kind of internal tools for streamlining operations. from automatically bringing new audiences into our Facebook ads using a Zapier function, validating email addresses for subscription signups. I mean, the capabilities are endless. So it's been a tremendous kind of year with experimenting and whatnot, and that's kind of our goal is to bring that and surface all of that with delimiters, allowing contributors to bring that up and build things that they can offer to the world, and those that can make use of them go and make use of them effectively.
And is that all running off of the Zoho platform?
So it certainly was tested and kind of prototyped here and there in a few different Zoho Creator things. And again, that's what allows us to find product market fit, test, things like that. But Zoho Flow serves Zoho Creator rather serves a specific function for us because we have the resources now to kind of build things that are standalone products and live on their own. Is the function it serves is for prototyping, finding product market fit, getting user feedback, and things of that sort. And frankly, I wish I knew about Zoho Creator during the days where I was helping my kind of parents run the restaurant, because I was watching all sorts of different things. And I feel like for small businesses, it's really the edge that can take user experience to another level. I mean, creating a restaurant application where they can access, the menu, be able to review all in one portal, perhaps, and then if you have a lot of fun with it, you can even go and grab, say, NFC tags. You put those NFC tag stickers on the restaurant table and allow for contactless menu access, where you can create in Zoho Creator a little hub site that allows people to connect to Wi-Fi through the NFC tag, review the restaurant, see the menu, all contactless. And that's something that I've always been interested to see who comes out with first. I'm sure it's been out there, but yeah, we experiment a lot. And I think it just came down to what are the things in our customer experience, our onboarding for new clients that are looking to deploy new Facebook and social media ads. What are the things that we can eliminate, automate, and accelerate? And I think that's kind of where we started, is high touch, low value things should be automated. Things that require very little human hand should be certainly automated, eliminated. So that's kind of the idea behind all initiatives there.
And I just want to make sure we got that URL. Is it delimiters or just delimiter?
Delimiters.io with an S. That's right.
Okay, great.
Super early, very few things on there, but private beta, it'll have some good stuff soon.
Hey, Saru, thank you for adding your perspective, man. That was great. I learned a lot just listening to you talk about this. So
thank you for having me.
Okay, we're gonna drop you back into the green room and then kind of wrap things up. So this has been really great and helpful to me, let alone I'm sure it was helpful for all the small business folks out there. Raju and Tejas, any last impressions you'd like to leave folks with based on kind of the things that you announced over the last couple of days?
I would say, think about the trust factor on the privacy front. I think you may not act immediately, but increasingly small businesses at least should start thinking about what their customers are thinking. And now their customers are starting to think about privacy becoming an important topic. If privacy is an important topic for the customer, then it's an important topic that the small business have to take into consideration, and they have to start, thinking and acting on it eventually. But this is a good time to start thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm going to build on the trust thing too. In general, I think in the past couple of years, we've seen maybe an uptick in trusting the company you're doing business with or believing in them. Generally through like environmental reasons is probably the most common one. But really when it comes to business software, trusting that vendor is, one, going to do right by you, B, isn't just milking you for dollars, and C, is actually providing constantly improving products and new value that makes your investment even bigger over time is important. And on the low code side specifically, one of the biggest problems is there's no standards for low code apps. So if I build something in Creator, I can't go send it to a new vendor immediately. So a lot of times people will have hesitations on, is this a company I can trust doing business with? And I hope that, a 25-year track record and then like a history of improvements and stuff like that, we can build that trust. And so trust comes in a lot of ways, from product innovations to company philosophy to how we treat employees and customers over time. But I don't think that vendor trust can be overlooked. It should be a factor when people kind of look to make decisions for who they want to partner with, basically to grow their business, right?
I couldn't agree more. And once again, 25 years. I kind of forgot about it, that this is the 25th anniversary year for Zoho. So happy anniversary to you guys. And Anita, last thoughts from you.
Well, I just want to say that what struck me about Zoho Analyst Day was that it wasn't as if there was like 3 new products. Yes, there were new products that were announced and so on. The focus wasn't on new so much. It was on a deeper, richer, easier to use experience with various products, and the fact that many of the products now work together so seamlessly. I noticed that there was a lot of talk about like the marketing platform and so on. There are products that are working together very seamlessly within Zoho, but you don't have to use them with other Zoho products. You can use something else with them. But the point being that, to me, it just shows a maturation, a maturing of Zoho, and you're getting a lot of value because there's just so much more being added to it. That was my impression. I don't know if you agree with that, Brent, but that's what I took away mostly from Zoho Day. Aside from you being a great DJ and analysts like dance in their chairs.
But I appreciate that. No, I agree. There's been years where it's funny. I've spoken many a time with Raju over the years, and we'll be on a phone call and we'll just be talking. And matter of fact, he'll mention this app. I'm like, wait a minute. I've never heard of that app before. That happened year over year. But I think what's happened recently is, like you said, they've got an app for that. But now they're making those apps more and more user-friendly and easier to use together. And I think that helps small businesses be able to be more efficient and effective with using the applications. And now with the low-code environment, now they're able to plug in the holes, like Tejas said, without having to bring on some kind of 5th-degree black belt, developer. And I think that's incredibly important to the ability for small businesses to really, I want to say, get the most bang for the buck. But I mean, they're not paying a lot of bucks to begin with using this platform. So it just makes it easier for them to really extend what they're able to do. And I'll just say, for next year's Zoho Day, I want to see Tejas and Raju in one of those squares dancing their hearts out when I'm DJing. So with that thought of mine, I wanted to leave everybody with that thought of mine. But
that's a bad ending, Brent. That's a bad ending.
I'm putting Sandy on that job right now. But no, first of all, I thought this was a really great hour. Lots of great information, insights. Saru, he brought it. I mean, there's a lot of great things and insights, and that's why it's great to have customers be a part of these conversations. And Anita is like partner, customer, and co-host, so it was great to get her perspective as well. But I just want to thank both Raju and Tejas for joining us, and I'd like to thank everybody for staying and checking it out. This will be recorded, and you will be able to catch all the things that maybe you wanted to get a little bit more detail on. So thanks again for joining us, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks.
Thank you both.